Hello and welcome to the Peak Endurance Podcast. Thank you for joining us again today. With me, I have my second host, Ron.
The other host, Ron.
The other host, the nearly as good as me host. Is that right?
Yep, that's right.
Yes. And today we are doing an interview. We have got Raph from Peak Chocolate. Hi, Raph. How's it going?
Thanks so much for having me, Isabel and Ron. I'm excited to be here. I used to do back when I first started CrossFit, I did a really similar podcast, I think, to you guys, where it's just me and my partner, and we would do like what's happening in the CrossFit world. And I think, it's cool to see running so popular now. I'm sure there's a huge audience for like what's up with running, how to get better at running.
Yeah, look, and runners especially ultra runners spend a lot of time running, so they need, something to listen to
take their mind off what's going
exactly
through.
That's right, because there's not always someone to run with when you're running for 6 or 7 hours,
Yeah, of course.
Now, of course, you have Peak Chocolate, which, may I say, just awesomely named. Just like Peak Endurance Coaching.
Ties in with us perfectly.
Yes. So well done on that for starters.
Well, I'll tell you one thing on the Peak. So when we first were trying to get it, we were trying to get peak.com.au, and then we had to get peak.com. And peak.com actually was they made it was in America, and it was a marijuana chocolate. So then it would keep happening to us for the first 2 years, where people would email back and they'd be like, hey, you recommended this was a great healthy option for me, and then I found out it's had marijuana in it, and I'd be like, no, it's .com. We're .com.au.
That's a complete opposite to what you want, isn't it?
Different sort of Peak. But no, that's luckily they seem to disappear. So we
ours gives you energy.
Now.
Theirs chills you out.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, both. Some people probably like both, but I only do one. I only do the .com.au.
Yeah. So, what inspired you to create Peak Chocolate specifically for runners and athletes and that sort of thing?
Yeah, so I've been in fitness for a really long time. So I've run gyms, done all the types of never ultra running, but I've done tons of running, tons of functional training. I played rugby initially, and then got into fitness and owned gyms for over a decade now. And the reason we came up with it was originally basically my parents not into fitness at all, right? Probably a lot of people that get really into fitness. And I was initially helping my dad lose a lot of weight, right? Get off blood pressure medication, all that type of stuff. And we were obviously most people know what they're doing, taking carbohydrates, taking calories out of the diet. And dark chocolate was the kind of the treat that we settled on. That was lower calories, lower sugar, still really liked it, that type of thing. So he got really hooked on it. And then we all were having it because it was, a bit more research coming out around increase of blood flow, decrease inflammation, that type of thing, right? So it was good research on one hand, and then just really good results with my dad that was a non-fitness type, right? And I was like, well, if he can do it, we can all do it. So then we just were hey, maybe we can do something a little bit better. Let's just take this chocolate that we got, and there was no products really outside just the huge chocolate companies doing anything that turned it up in any way and made it any better. So we just basically started experimenting with him. He was retired, so he helped us out, and we just kept trying to put different stuff into it. And because it's it's pretty easy to melt, right? You can melt it in the microwave. We could do experimentation. It tastes awful. You obviously have to use a real chocolate maker to make it taste good. But that was basically how it happened. So we just started experimenting with it. We were obviously into supplements, so started just buying the supplements wholesale, mixing them in, and then it was kind of a hobby for a while, and then eventually we started getting it properly manufactured and being able to sell it retail.
So what are just to let the listeners know who may not know Peak Chocolate, what are the different additional benefits that you get with Peak Chocolate?
So what we make is we make functional chocolate. So we make an energy, we make a focus, and we make a sleep version of them. So baseline, what it always is just high quality premium dark chocolate, which probably a lot of runners already have, right? A lot of people in fitness already have it, right? It's just great for you, and whether or not you get mine or any dark chocolate, it's generally just a really good food to be consuming. So we take that, and then we created different functional recipes for each one of those moments. So for the energy one, for example, we'll do a little bit of whey protein. We've got 100 milligrams of caffeine. In the sleep one, we'll put in zinc, magnesium, L-tryptophan. And the great thing is with a lot of these supplements like magnesium and zinc is you can give a really effective dose. We'll have 100% of the RDI for zinc, which most Aussies are deficient in the chocolate without affecting the taste at all, because you're still only needing milligrams for that type of stuff rather than like grams for something like creatine. So it works really well in the product. So we'll do magnesium, zinc, chamomile in the sleep one, and then we'll do green tea extract and some B vitamins in the focus version. So they're just like, they're like, it makes it really fun and just makes them really effective for different times. Me, because I train a lot, it's usually mostly the energy and the sleep, because there's not a lot of energy products that are more on the high fat realm for energy, and lower carbohydrates, lower sugar, all the products low sugar. So I use it in the same way a lot of people use like energy gels and stuff before training.
Well, I mean, I love using the energy chocolate on my runs, because I'll have a coffee before my run, but then after about 2 to 3 hours in, when normally if I was sitting at home, I'd have another coffee, I can have my energy bar, and it's the same as having had another coffee, which is awesome.
Yeah, we'll normally chuck one, because we both use it.
Cool.
We both eat it, and we chuck it in our pocket of our pack and break it out once we're starting to feel ourselves flag a little bit.
And just so people know, like, this is summer at the moment. We've been running in 30, 35 degree heat, and still eating the chocolate, and it's not melting. So because there's nothing worse. I put a couple of little fun Mars bar.
I actually ate a Mars bar today. I was out in the sun today running, and I had a Mars bar, and I ended up with it all over my fingers.
There's nothing worse.
But that's what people. That's why they. That's like why they originally brought out the M&Ms and the Smarties and that type of stuff. Was like parents just couldn't stand their kids. I got young kids.
Chocolate everywhere.
Like they eat my chocolates obviously all the time, particularly the sleep one, and then like they'll put it in their hand, and then like they'll just hold it, and then by the time they open it, they'll melt it, right? So kids sometimes don't get it, but that is also why chocolate tastes so good, because it melts at like 27 degrees. So when you have it in your mouth, it like melts in your mouth. That's the idea of why people love it.
So how does peak chocolate differ from regular energy gels or bars?
So look, I'll say I love all products. So I don't try and put it as like this one's bad, this one's good. I think that, all different uses, they're all really good. I'm a massive consumer of all these types of products. How we found that what people were looking for that wasn't quite out there was, there's tons of like two buckets really. There's like energy bars, which are basically just like high calorie nut protein bars pretty much across the board. It's kind of like just a meal replacement, right? That works really well in that regard. And they do a great job of that. And then there's like more basically the energy gel market, which is pretty much all just like different ways of combining glucose or sugar, like fast acting sugar with caffeine, right? And then some, as you guys know, some taste good, some don't do as well when you're on a run.
Most don't.
Most don't, especially a couple of hours in.
And you kind of got to get the hydration and the gel right as well, right? Because if you're like having those no water, it can leave you feeling pretty bad. So like those are the ones out there. And then there's like, I think there was a huge amount of just like the same type of thing of like different energy drinks coming out, which is like, I mean, like obviously people love them as well. I have those, but it's like the same, just like carbonated water with artificial sweeteners. And
that's what I hate.
Caffeine into it. So it's just like, I think it's like a lot of like not really natural products out there that were getting done like over and over again in the energy type of realm. And I think that, you generally just feel better off when you're getting from mostly whole foods and real foods across the board with your diet. So if we can do another way to avoid having like more highly processed artificial food in our diet, particularly around training, usually leaves most people feeling good. And I think that's a great habit to be it, which is sticking to like more all natural foods. And that's what we do.
I'm a big believer in that too.
Most people settle on that. If you do health and fitness for a long time, like I have, like most people come back to rounds like, hey, I feel the best when I'm having like 95% of my diet, like really all natural whole food. So that's really where we separate it, was we're like, we'll take a really, really quality, like natural food, like dark chocolate, and then we'll just add some like natural supplements that everyone already knows works well. I usually don't have to sell people on the benefits of caffeine. They already know it works for them. You can't go a day without it. So so we're not trying to reinvent the wheel there. We're just trying to say, hey, like we've got a really good way to do it, and we didn't put in any of the artificial stuff that you don't want to have.
Yeah, you found a really creative way of giving people generally what they need and what they use day to day, but in a palatable, easy way to eat it.
And how many calories are in a bar? Just so people will know, the serve.
Yeah, so our serves, so we pre-package all of them, and the reason we do that is like initially I did like a big bar, but it's one of those
Yeah,
things where like sometimes people even though they just like have maybe more than they were thinking when they first opened the pack. It's
Mhm.
could be a normal thing.
yes,
So what we do is we pre-package it so you can take it with you, but also have the right amount every single time.
yeah,
So it's always the same amount of calories, right? Because you're having the right amount. So it'll be anywhere between like 105 and 128 calories in
yeah,
a serve,
yeah,
which
which
works
is
well for most
awesome.
people that are, yeah, pretty athletic. And then where we really try and stick to our guns is keeping the sugar count low. So we'll have
Mm,
nothing over 2 grams of sugar,
yeah,
a- across the board for most. Because it's the same thing. It's like some people do all right with sugar, but most people we find over time decide that like, hey, keeping the sugars lower in their diet, or they already have enough of them, works well
yeah.
for them.
Well, I'm sugar intolerant, so I love it that
Wow.
there's no sugar because I struggle with all the sweet stuff. And
Yeah.
and often what happens to runners is, they start off okay having sweet stuff in their race, and then a few hours in they have flavor fatigue and
Mm.
GI distress from the vast amounts of sugar that they're consuming. So it's good to have a product that doesn't overload the sugar as well.
Yeah, yeah. But do you find because you guys do long races than I do, are you like you mix up the nutrition salt? Is that what works best for someone for like a long run, not having the same thing over and over again?
Yeah. I personally believe so, and that's certainly what we do.
Yeah,
And as I'm a sports nutritionist as well, so that's
yeah,
also what I recommend when I'm
yeah.
doing food plans for people. But a lot of people, I mean, I hear of some people doing 100K or 100 miler purely on gels. I mean, I don't
Wow.
understand it. Yeah, I couldn't think of anything worse.
Yeah.
But
And
they must have stomachs
Cast
of steel.
cast iron
yeah,
steel.
yeah, yeah. But it's not just the race, right? Something we always chat about. It's not just the race because you have to get used to what you're going to race with.
Yes,
Yeah,
you've got to train with it.
So
absolutely.
then, and training is hours and hours a week. So if you're gonna,
Yes,
do 4 or 5 gels in a race, you're probably doing what, 15 plus a week,
yes, yeah.
every
Yeah, I
single
mean,
week. Yeah.
we'll be going out to do, well, 6 for me, maybe 8-hour training run tomorrow. And the last thing we'd want to be doing was
God is smashing
spending the day
gels.
smashing
Yeah, yeah,
gels. Yeah,
yeah,
Yeah, no, we'll take, real food.
yeah,
We've been known to take bacon and egg McMuffins.
yeah, yeah.
Not that
Whatever,
I'm,
whatever it takes.
yeah,
yeah.
not that I'm advertising McDonald's, but it's got protein, carbohydrates, fat.
And they're as
It's
bland
Yeah,
as.
and bland and
Mm,
flavorless as anything.
yeah,
So um, but yeah, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily
yeah,
recommend that. It's just sometimes if you're out on the trails for a long time, that works. But I certainly have found the peak chocolate, like I've said, really helps when I start to get to mid-morning and it's like normally I'd be having another coffee now and then also later in the run when you're just getting tired, quite frankly, and because we all know caffeine is a performance
yes,
enhancer,
of course.
a legal one, obviously.
Yeah,
Um, and and it certainly beats like all those V's and
yeah.
yeah.
those energy drinks, which I think are terrible. I mean, there was a guy at the gym the other day drinking one of those drinks, and I could literally smell it, and it was making me feel sick.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
it's
It's
just
just
so
not
full
it's
of
just not an ideal
chemicals.
mechanism, right? Because you're
Yeah,
having like 600 mils of like an artificial beverage just to get
yeah,
the 100
yeah,
milligrams that you wanted, right?
yeah, that's
Which
right.
it just some ways I think is silly, particularly for athletes. And as well, you'll find that chocolate has a really, really quick absorption. So
Yeah,
usually people like want it really quick, so you'll get it really, really fast, faster than tetraing through like a liter of carbonated fluid.
really. That's awesome. Yeah.
Hmm.
And what about flavors? What flavors do you have? I love the salt, the sea salt one that you've got.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah, flavors are an interesting one. Like something I actually learned about because I don't know what you guys are about, but like I'm like a pretty like happy to eat, same type of foods every single day. And
Yeah, me
then
too.
that is something I actually learned, which was a lot of people, they find that like, something will work really well for them. But if you're an athlete, you're training all the time, it's like being able to actually mix things up.
Yeah.
Even though it's like basically the same ingredients, it just gives you that like mental variety.
Yes.
Which can just like, gives you enjoy it, and then just it also just stops things getting stale in general. So that's something we've actually been working really hard on. It's like, hey, how can we like bring the same really good product, same things you need when you're training and when you're going to bed. That doesn't change, but how can we bring like, just fun flavors that is going to make that enjoyable, but not change the health profile? Obviously, we don't want
Yeah,
to
yeah.
miss anything there. So we just launched that in October. So now we do like mint flavor, salted caramel flavor, obviously just regular dark chocolate, sea salt, orange crunch. So we've got about 5 different types of it now, which is, yeah, it's been like a really fun experiment, and like a fun thing for me to learn as well throughout the
Yeah.
whole process, because you know, like Aussies have a different taste profile to Americans.
Oh, there you
So
go.
yeah, so like there's quite a bit of research went into it, was like, you know, what are Aussies like, and usually what you find is that we all like things that like bring us a bit of nostalgia from when we were young.
Yeah,
So the
yeah,
flavors that, like, you know, not the unhealthy chocolates, but like it's like the unhealthy chocolate that we put into a healthy one. But it's got to
yeah.
give you that like reminder of the unhealthy ones you had when you're really young, and that gives you that, yeah, it gives
Makes
you
you,
that good feeling.
yeah, it makes you feel like you're cheating when you're not.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's just, man, it's just human nature, right?
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, that's right.
yeah,
And in regards to the packaging, like I find it so much easier now. Like when it was in the big bars, I used to put it in Ziploc bags and that's the
yeah.
Yeah.
stuff to take with us. But now it's just so much simpler. So yeah, just wanted to say I think that was a
No, I
great
appreciate
idea.
it. Well, that actually came from runners. So that came from runners and cyclists. So basically, like I
Yeah,
you know, chat to the customers, and I didn't initially know how popular it'd be with like endurance type of people.
yeah,
And then I had tons of them, and they were all like basically telling me the same thing. They were like, "Hey, I don't want to carry like an entire block every time I
yes,
go.
Yeah,
Like maybe I'll have
yeah,
2. But I'm not gonna have four, whatever I put in it. Like
yeah,
yeah,
put in single serve." So it was yeah, it was really to help the runners and the cyclists, just like just make it more convenient, you know.
yeah, way more convenient. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Um, so what would you say is the recommended way for runners to incorporate peak chocolate into their nutrition strategy?
Yeah, I have got reports from all types doing it in different ways, but the 2 I see which are like most consistent, and you know, I also run gyms, and usually what I recommend to clients is like two different scenarios. So one is as actually part of your training. So some people have it like before or during, if they're, you know, going out for more than like an hour and a half type of actual event. They'll have it regularly in there. And that's usually the 100 milligrams of caffeine option. And
Yeah,
that tends to work. Yeah, like most people, I'm just like, hey, try it. And if you feel really, really good on it, that's probably the right thing for you. Right? Because
yeah,
like it's a big thing, is like how you actually feel, how you feel on it. And if it doesn't feel good, it's not for you. If it feels really, really good, which we get tons of, then it probably is for you. A second way we use it is a lot of people have like just a big sweet tooth at night, and they kind of find themselves eating things that are just not ideal for them, which, like, you know, ends up ruining your training a little bit, right? If you have something like really high
yeah,
in sugar, it kind of disrupts your sleep every night when you go to bed. Yeah, when you're training a lot, you get hungry at night. So there's a little bit of bad habit. A lot of us like just creeps in. So using it as like a swap to maybe not the
yeah,
best habit at nighttime, I think can be really, really effective, because, you know, if
Mhm.
you study any of that habit change stuff, it's like really hard to get rid of a negative habit. Usually what they say is like it's a lot more likelihood of sticking with it if you can just swap the habit. So like, hey, I
yes,
used to
Yeah,
have this thing. I get a really similar enjoyment and feeling, and I've still got something that I can swap it with, but it's got stuff in there that's actually good for my sleep, nothing bad for me. And that's going to be a much more positive habit, you know, in 2025 to stick with. So that's the
yeah,
other way, right? So it's like kind of like a bit of a replacing of like a not so good habit in the
mhm.
evenings, is how people will use the unwind version.
So what is it in the sleep one that helps people sleep?
Yeah, we got a few things. So I'll tell you what, I also think one thing that we didn't take into account when we first did it was actually removing the bad stuff. So replacing like chocolate stuff that's not good for you, and loaded with sugar straight away helps you sleep. So what you don't have really helps. But then what we put in there is really good. So we got a host of supplements, but the ones that do like the heavy lifting for us is the magnesium and the zinc. So we'll have,
Mm.
depending on male and female, about 74% of your RDI magnesium, so like literally a whole day's recommended dose of magnesium in the bar, and we'll have 100% of your zinc RDI in the bar. And to put in perspective, you know, the Australian government reports it's like, I think it's around 84% of Aussies don't hit the daily magnesium amount
Oh wow.
in an entire day. But if you're an athlete, you know, you actually probably need more than what the average
Yes.
person needs, right? Because
Yeah.
you're covering. So we put that in there because that's obviously going to help you wind down sleep, can help with like cramps and leg shakes in the night as well. So that's like the biggest ones I say that do the heavy lifting in terms of your sleep. Obviously, you can supplement as well, but for most people, it's fine. It's a habit they can stick to, right? Because it's
Yeah.
like really enjoyable. So getting it all done in something really fun works well. And I know plenty of people like break it off bits, give it to the kids, give it to the rest of the family, because it's like, you know, they're nutrients that are good for everyone.
Yeah.
Because normally I have always thought of chocolate because, you know, dark chocolate or any kind of chocolate normally has a little bit of caffeine in it naturally.
Mm.
So what is that caffeine still there, or just does the magnesium and zinc offset that?
Yeah, it's a good question. So that was something we like obviously came to like when we first were, because we first started with just the energy one. That's when we first went on Shark Tank. We only had the energy version, but then we had a lot of demand for a night one because people were like, well, I'm already eating a chocolate at night.
Yeah.
So what can I do to swap it? So what we did with the night version is obviously we don't add any caffeine. That starts. But
Yeah.
then with the actual chocolate as well, there's a mix of cacao solids and cacao butter. And the cacao solid is what will have all the caffeine in it.
Yeah.
So being able to tweak that combination in the bars basically
Yeah.
allows us to reduce it. So we get it down to it's just a little bit less than the amount of trace caffeine that's in a decaf coffee.
Oh, cool.
Okay.
So it's pretty cool like that. So that actually can get down to be like really, really low. So for most people, it's imperceptible. And that works really well. Whereas like, yeah, if you just go smashing like a big thing of Lindt chocolate, yeah, like there's a decent bit of caffeine in there.
Yeah. 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 Oh, that's good to know.
And are all the chocolates certified? I can't remember the certification, but so that it's safe to use for competing athletes that may have to do drug tests.
Yeah, we've done Hasta and we've done
Hasta, that's what I
big
was
one in the
thinking.
UK. Yeah, it's Hasta, and there's another one in the UK. It's like News N Sport or something like that that is all the rage in Europe. Yeah, so we do that. I always tell people like, always read the label anyway,
Yes.
right? If
Yes.
you're if you're competing and getting tested. But yeah, we do that, and that comes with like all the places we buy our supplements from as well.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Unfortunately, no one's ever going to go get popped for taking chocolate. That's not going to be.
Yep.
I remember when I used to do mountain biking, you were only allowed to have a certain amount of caffeine, and you could get drug tested for caffeine.
Really?
Yeah, this was obviously a long time ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, you actually had to be careful about the amount of caffeine you took when you were racing. But luckily, it's not like that anymore.
Is there much testing in running?
Not in ultra running.
No.
No. I've never seen testing. In mountain biking, when I used to do cross country, there was testing, always at nationals level. But
Yeah.
And I'm sure like the high grade marathons
the
testing.
marathons will.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Especially if they're a qualifier for Olympics and that sort of stuff. But I think just standardly, no.
No.
Yeah. I almost feel like you got to be so crazy to do the ultra stuff that like it's not going to help you.
Yeah, there's too many other things that.
Yeah. You need to be wired that way, right? To begin with.
Yeah. Are there any sort of common misconceptions about chocolate and athletic performance that you'd like to talk about, or that people seem to have?
Yeah, I mean, our biggest challenge is like, maybe it gives inspiration to listeners if they ever come up with their own types of products is like the biggest challenge if you're gonna do something which I didn't know when I started is like people need to they need to be able to get it. They need to be able to get it quickly. And our biggest challenge when we first started is like people just had like, existing preconceptions around chocolate, what it can do. It's more of like a treat. It's not a thing for training. And like that was actually like really, really difficult. And usually if you want to start a brand, you don't want to have to do the educating of the customers yourself. So that was like a really big challenge for us. Like I don't know if anyone ever saw, but we went on Shark Tank in the early days of the business, and like Steve and most sharks on the show, like they weren't having a bar of it, like literally and figuratively. Like they just to them they were like, this is not good. Like they kind of almost felt like I was like kind of tricking people. We also had if you watch it, like we had amino acids in there. They kind of thought the amino acids were like leucine and stuff, like really, really bad for you, like chemicals. So it's a bit of a misunderstanding. They're trying to blame them. They're not like nutritionists or anything. But like yeah, like there's a huge kind of misunderstanding. Whereas like people were just like, no, this is like not good. Probably like I think there was a general gist that it kind of felt like maybe I was trying to take something not so good for people and pretend it was good.
I see.
In a way, but like that's just kind of more the fact that chocolate, like the actual form of chocolate, has always been really good for you. But people mix other stuff into it, right? And when it's like a Reese's peanut butter cup, it ends up pretty different from the original thing. So that's like that's the biggest one. Is like I think still at the beginning, definitely there was like a huge challenge for us. It was challenging, which kind of made it difficult to get momentum. But I just found more recently, like the average education of like most people around nutrition has really started to go up.
Yes,
Mhm.
I think a
absolutely.
lot of people are switched on.
Yeah.
Definitely in running, like running itself has like boomed, and then there's been a huge crossover of people that do a lot of like weights in the gym world, which I'm really familiar with, into running at the moment.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And because running, requires such a big nutrition and fuel perspective, which is totally different to going to the gym, in terms of like fueling requirements and that type of thing. There's been a big education moment for those types of people as well going into it. So yeah, that's been the biggest one. It's like people just for a while, the general population thought like, hey, it's something to be avoided and not something I
Yeah.
should ever have regularly. And
Yeah.
over time, not really anything we've done. I'd say just by good fortune and more good information getting out there, people are realizing that it's actually a really good food to have, regardless of which brand it is. A good dark chocolate
Yeah.
is really, really good for people. So the fact that I also put other good stuff in there, even better, right? And something you
Yeah.
definitely can have, definitely you can have regularly.
Yeah.
And where's your main customer base? Is it the gym, or is it running or cycling, or
Yeah, so in the early days, like because I had like a bit more of an audience to the gym crowd, it was way more in the gym, but then pretty quickly we found that it hit the best in the endurance crowd, which is pretty much just for
Mhm.
us, cycling, swimming, running, and
Yeah.
I guess people that put it all together in the triathlon and
Yeah.
stuff. So
Mhm.
yeah, that's been the biggest crowd for us, and I think they're just one of the biggest markets for like these types of products because they just need a fuel all the
Yes.
Yeah.
time. They also generally don't want things that are like really big. Like, people go to the gym, they'll love like a big, massive protein bar. But like,
Yes.
Yeah.
man, I run all the time, and it's like the last thing you want on a run is like something full of fiber, really high in
Yeah.
protein, that's gonna
Yeah.
like sit like a rock in your stomach, right? You
And
need like
hard to eat on the move as
hard
well.
Yes.
to eat. Yeah. And exactly, two of those, like your jaw's gonna be sore the next day. So
Yes. Right. Yeah.
so it's just like so like those typical products that I think the mass market spews out are just like actually usually pretty inappropriate. Um,
Yeah.
Mm.
for runners. If you think about endurance in a runner, they're actually looking for like a different thing to a lot of the time a lot of other people are looking for. Other people
Yeah.
looking to like stay really full, big
Yeah.
meals, keep them satiated. Whereas like, you're endurance, like, you're looking for things like I don't want to feel really, really full, but I want things that are healthy, quick energy, that type of thing.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's next for Peak Chocolate? Are there any new products or any more innovations? Because you've already just rechanged everything. So
Yeah,
what's
yeah.
looking to the future?
Look, I want to do a lot. Like I love the whole space. Like I think it's really, really fun. I was one of the best things I always do is like when we go to those like fairs and stuff, I always like talk to new people, like products they're creating, products we're trying to come up with. And I think there's just like a huge opportunity to do more of this type of stuff because
Yeah.
so many people now they're like, yeah, they want to spend their money on food that's going to do more for them than just be the best tasting thing. They want good taste
Mm.
for sure, but then also other things that they're going to really enjoy as well. So there's
Yeah.
like a massive market. And I think that if you're in sports, it's like a really fun time to kind of come up with the different ideas or try a different product. So I want to do a lot. So I mean, I'm not sure if I've sent to you, Isabel. We have a hot chocolate, which I've got somewhere
That's
around me
right.
here.
Yeah.
So we do the bars. We've got any within arm's distance. No, we've got the bars, and then we do a hot chocolate. So the reason for the hot chocolate was because the feedback I got, people were like, oh, I have it for the run, but like if I've already had one chocolate, like I feel chocolate out, right? I want to have something different. Like I'd love to have a drink at night. So we
Yeah.
basically took the same formula of the sleep chocolate and we put that into a drink as
Okay.
well. So we've just prepackaged that up. We sold it in cans. We just put that in bags that can go into stores and we sell online. So that one's basically the same thing, but it's like a hot chocolate drink or a cold chocolate drink that you can have at night.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Which I think can really really help in terms of like if you get a lot of muscle soreness and that type of stuff, some people get cramping at night. I find that can be really effective, and some people also like it because it's in a powder. They can also like really carefully control the dose and find the
Yeah.
right dose that works for them. And a lot of people don't consume dairy, so we have like a dairy-free option for
Mhm.
that as well.
Okay. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and then on the horizon, I mean, the one I really really want to do is I want to do more flavors for the ones we've got, and then I want to incorporate like probably some non-chocolate types of food into it. So I'd love to be able to do like chocolate coatings with all the same functional benefits of like different dried fruits and stuff like that to give
Okay. Yeah.
different fueling options because I know like
Yeah.
that fruit's obviously so good when you dry it, it makes it just like quicker, easier to consume.
Yeah.
For a lot of those types of athletes. So I think that can be really good. And then we want to be able to branch into kids as well. Because, since
Oh,
I got
nice.
young kids, I find that like they're obviously trying to always steal the chocolates. Caffeine's not appropriate for them. So I'm like having to
No.
hide it in the house,
Yeah.
which gets difficult. And like kids are the same, right? Like if we can get them eating a slightly healthier chocolate, great.
Yes, absolutely.
Set the example and then follow through, right? I think it sets a bad example if you get like a really healthy one and they get the shit from the
Yes,
store for
I
$1.
agree.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to bring out one. Obviously, there's a few more like hurdles and regulations with the kids products in Australia, but, for good reason. So that's what we're hoping to do in probably the next 12 to 18 months. I think that'll be really, really cool.
That's
that way
awesome.
you just it's just a way you can like set a really good example for your kids and maybe maybe set them off on the right path for the rest of their life, because they're just your nutritional habits I think start pretty young.
Oh yeah,
And
absolutely.
if you're just always consuming like the worst possible things for you from a young age, we're not going to set the tone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So where can people buy Peak chocolate
Yeah, so I mean,
and the
best
hot
way.
chocolate?
Yeah, appreciate the question. So right now we're online and we're on Amazon.
Yeah.
So we sell all through there, and we've just launched into retail. So we have probably it's about 250 retailers. Not the majors. So it won't be in a Woolies and Coles for anyone at the
Yeah.
moment, but like a lot of the independent groceries all around.
Oh, awesome.
Which is like I think pretty exciting. And it's the same thing, which is just like for a long time we didn't put it in the stores because I was just like, not enough people like are gonna get this. It's like
Yeah.
niche,
Mhm.
it's like super
Yeah.
niche.
Yes.
Like endurance
Yes.
runners and like they're not always in this, most people are walking to like regular people. But I think we've just turned a corner where these types of things are not so niche, and a
Yes.
lot of really, really cool products in types of stores, which I'm trying to be one of at the moment. So you can find them all there. But yeah, website, Amazon. I think online is where a lot of these types of communities live. Where like it's same with me, right? Like I remember I was buying kettlebells in like online like 2010, and it was like when you're early to something, it's like you can only find it online. Now you can buy kettlebells everywhere. I think it's a bit like that even with the ultra running and stuff. Like a lot of these types of products you want, only find it online, and then one day everyone will do it, and you'll find it everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well, I mean, that's great that you're in the independent stores now, because like that's the first step, to getting it into the more mainstream stores.
Yeah, I think we will. It's definitely our goal. I think we definitely will. I think with the buyers and stuff, it was like a little bit the same thing. They're used to chocolate not being so good for you, but
Mhm.
hopefully I think we can teach them. We don't sit with the confectionery. We're going to sit with the health food type of products.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because
Yeah.
yeah. And I mean, you're never going to be able to battle with Cadbury's because they've got such a a hold
No.
on the marketplace there. So
Yeah, and you don't want to. You don't want to.
no, that's right,
No.
because it's actually a completely different product.
Yeah, exactly. That's been the challenge. That's what we want to do. Is just like take something that's fun, put it in a different part of the shop, and to show people, hey, there's more to life than energy gels and energy drinks.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And like you say, there's actually health benefits to dark chocolate, whereas I can't really think of any health benefit from energy drinks or energy gels, quite frankly.
No, exactly. Yeah, like the base product does nothing for you.
No,
No.
that's right. So yeah, so much better. Now, can people find Peak Chocolate on socials?
Yeah. So we probably most active on Instagram.
Yep.
Like I said, if you want to laugh, we got nearly 2 million views on our Shark Tank appearance. If you YouTube
Okay. Yes, of course. Good.
Peach Chocolate, it's just like it's like fun to watch. I think most people side with, so we basically got bashed by them, but most people tend to side with us when you watch it because
Oh, good.
you realize they like don't know very much about health and fitness sharks, which so they
Yeah.
should. They're more experts in the business, which is fair enough.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
we got hammered on the show for like we basically got hammered on the show for not Janine hammered us for not having enough because we said scientifically engineered to improve performance, and she was like, no, you haven't done the clinical trials. And what I was trying to get across was like, yeah, but the individual things I've put in the amounts I've put in
Yes.
have
Yes.
like some of the most
Yes.
researched supplements on the planet, right?
Yeah.
Like meta-analyses so much, and like we put so much into the different formulas that we came up with. But yeah, that was a bit of the
I'm
confrontation.
actually really surprised. I thought that would go well on Shark Tank. That kind of, yeah.
It did, and
Makes sense.
we're actually very close. It's just the way. It's also the way they edit it. So like we were in there for like nearly an
Yeah.
hour, and
Yeah.
we actually did quite well. We like really nearly got a deal with Janine, but there was just probably like a bit of. It was probably also a bit of a personality clash
Ah,
a little bit
okay.
as
Yeah.
well. Which
Yeah.
I was a little bit probably inexperienced, or probably definitely experienced going on the show, and I think there was a clash there where I had to just let her say her thing and not try and challenge her. So that was a good
Yeah.
learning experience for me. But then, you know, once they take the whole hour of content and then they just make a 8-minute segment.
Yeah.
And
Yes,
they've
of
got to,
course.
they got to choose a storyline. So like,
And it's got to be entertaining too.
Yes.
You know,
it's
that's
got to
the
be
bottom
entertaining.
line.
Oh yeah, like in reality, like yeah, tons of the time, like they'll say stuff and then I'll say stuff, and like I said that like half an hour after they asked that question.
Oh,
But they're like they
yeah,
mix it up, do whatever they
yeah.
want to make it seem like as funny and and make it look as embarrassing as possible, which is good.
Yes, of course. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I can
Which I'm glad
understand.
you don't do because you're like I don't edit it, and I'm like, oh, it's after
Yeah,
my
no,
after that
no.
experience, I'm glad.
No editing here. So
No.
you're safe.
Yeah, exactly.
All righty. Well, look, I'll put the links in for your social media and your website and all that sort of stuff. And of course, people can look on Amazon. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Was there anything that we missed that you wanted to let people know about? Was there anything we didn't ask?
No, I appreciate it. Hope people really enjoy it. If anyone has any questions, you can just email me. Raph,
Cool.
my name RAPH, beatchocolate.com.au. I love like interacting with people that buy it, or if you don't buy it, just want to ask questions about it, or if you're thinking of making your own product, I'm always like happy to talk to people about helping them with that or ideas on types of products they could do, because I just think like the whole thing is really fun. Right. I love fitness and I love different things that can improve fitness. So anyone wants to email me, feel free.
Awesome. Thanks so much for that.
Thank you very
Appreciate
much.
it, guys. Thanks for everything you do.
Thanks.
So-
Bye.